All right, Ronin Man here. So we're here at the summit. The guys are already getting together, and we're just kind of talking about stuff. And we thought we'd turn on the fucking recorder and get some of these conversations down. And I don't know. This is not prepared, but it's something that I've thought about for so long, and guys have asked for many times. And I think that's what this discussion is. It's basically what people have asked. Is they said, "What are your rules for women?" Because one of the episodes, I said I have very strict rules and I use them on women. And so the guy said, well, you got to put down your rules. So then when I was in Hollywood, I recorded me and this Turkish guy. The guy told you I was kind of hardcore. And we went out and he said, I really want to hear your rules. Because we had lived together, all these guys living together, and they're kind of like watching me. And I could tell I won his respect over. This like really hardcore Turkish guy. And he's like, I want to hear your rules. Tell me your rules. We go. And so I'm like, okay. So then we went walking around and I recorded it, but it wasn't right what I made. It wasn't right because I think he was very young. He's like 22. And I was telling him my rules, but I didn't have a perspective. And I think just now, I just thought of it, what it is. So basically it's and this is not going to be my exact rules. Okay, so this is more like the mindset for the rules, and the rules will come. Basically, what I'm saying is like it's almost like, I don't know how to put this, but this is almost like perfect. This is almost like perfect man and woman relationships. Like you will see the wisdom in this, and you will start to make the rules yourself. You'll understand once you understand the way this works. It's like once you understand a dog, right? How to take care of a dog, you'll understand what is not good for the dog. Like you'll understand he won't like that, even though you've never done it to the dog, because you just understand the way he acts, right? There's certain things that you once you get you understand the creature involved, right? You can understand what would be smart and not smart, and then you'll know things like you might come up with ideas and you might say this might work, right? That's another level, but you'll be able to suss out. So let me try to give you the kind of the basic mindset. And I got this from a guy who's long dead. That was my mentor, Don. And he passed this on. And he didn't really, actually my rules ended up being better than his rules. Like he had the what is it called? Like the germination, the beginning of this kind of thing that I took to the next level when he taught me. So, and it's been, this has been fully tested in every way. This is like scientific testing down to the end, these rules. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. They're perfect. They work. They fucking work. Now, they don't work if you're married. Okay, that's the problem. That's the thing. They don't work. Yeah, that's important to know.
What doesn't work?
Okay.
Marriage as well.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't.
It don't work in marriage because marriage doesn't work itself.
Right. Well, it doesn't work with one woman, basically.
Oh.
Now, there are going to be exceptions where you can use this with one woman. So I'm just going to say, I was surprised how well it works with many, and it doesn't work with one. And I don't know. Maybe you can make it work. This was just an idea. But in general, be careful if you're just using this with one woman. At least I would say have a warning there. That the ideas work better the less tied you are to somebody, right? The more you have legal restrictions and the more you're locked in. Once you've signed a contract, let's say to play for a sports team or work for a company, or let's say you join the military, you can't get out. Like the military.
The rules are there already.
Yeah, the rules are, right. The rules are on you.
Yeah,
right. And those rules, you have to now take your rules and mix them with their rules to try to get a new rule that will fit, that will make, right? So when you're just dealing with girls in general, then you're free. It's you and her, and there are laws, of course, that law she has to follow, you have to follow, but there's still as far as the relationship between the two. And so I guess the way to think about it is like a dog, right? It's like or having a pet, a horse or whatever, there's ways to treat the animal that will make the animal do what you want, and you will have a good relationship with them. You'll get a deeper understanding of the creature, and they will understand you better. So it's a way of, okay, this is going to be all over the place, but that is good actually, because this is a tough thing to explain, right? Basically, when I look at most men, the way they're with women, when I see men with women, I honestly see them mostly as women, the way they act with women. The way guys act, it's very emotional. And I'm really talking to everybody here, like just you listening, everybody. This is the way every guy is without knowing it. Is like, for example, getting very angry with the girl, right? Just getting very frustrated. The guys don't think that's emotional. Guys think that there's other thing that's emotional, and that's just like right. You know what I mean? She did this. Naturally I feel this. It's not. It's emotional. It's okay. So the way you could think about it, one way to think about it is what I just thought of was the policeman. So why does the policeman not get angry at you? Like your mother gets angry at you, right? Your dad gets angry, but the policeman does not get angry. Why not? It's because he has a very sophisticated set of rules to punish you for certain offenses. So, because imagine if there was no laws, then the policeman would just come and he's like, "What are you doing with your car here again? I saw you here yesterday," And you'll be like, "Well, I have to be here for a few minutes and I have to do this." And it's like, "Well, this is in people's way and this causes this," can you imagine that discussion? He's trying to you're trying to explain why you need to do this and he's trying to explain. But no, it's like, "Oh, you cannot park here. This red line here, you can't park there." And I'm talking about the good side. Imagine a good policeman, like why laws were invented. I'm not talking about some asshole on the street who kicks the shit out of foreigners. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about just the way that the reason why we have a legal system, the reason why we have the police forces in general, right? It's because we need to have some kind of simple thing. Like you did this, you have to do this. He did this, he has to do that. It's fair, right? It's just like, it's a set thing. It's not based on his feeling. It's like, you parked in the red, you get a ticket. You went over this speed limit, you get a ticket. So, and
he doesn't have to use any personal judgment at the time to determine the penalty.
That's right. There's no personal judgment because he looks at the radar screen and it says your speed. And you can protest that the machine is not right, but the machine is not right for everybody, right? So, you might be right, but you're fighting for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Very good point. So he's got these specific things. Now, with girls, rules with girls, it's not as clear as that, unfortunately. Okay. But I guess, let me start to explain. Okay. So the first thing is you want to look at yourself and look at other men with women and realize how terribly emotional men are with women. You have to know that, because if you don't see the foolishness that you're doing now, the way you're acting and the way you've acted in the past, and you're not embarrassed, you won't be able to, you can't improve. Like, you can't just say, okay, girls are emotional, and then you're being emotional like all day, and then you're not admitting it because you're saying, well, that's anger. That's, it's the same thing. It's like you're losing control.
Yeah, that's it, like loss of control. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah, you're losing control, and it makes you less logical. It makes you less rational. It makes you more likely to hurt yourself. And so one of the reasons why guys get in legal trouble with women is because they're actually totally out of control. Like
Both parties.
yeah, the guy is like, but even from the guy, he's totally out of control. He doesn't even know it. He's been doing it for so long. He's been ignoring it for so long. The way he acts with the woman, he gets very frustrated and very angry, and then he thinks. We think, like, this is what humans think. I just can't, I don't understand this. This drives me insane. But anyway, I probably told this before, but I was at a coffee shop, right? And this guy was totally pissed off, right? We were at the Ritz-Carlton, we were at Element Fresh in Shanghai. And we were sitting there, and this guy was super pissed off. I could tell. And he was so pissed off at the waitress. And then we went somewhere else, and he said, well, I was really pissed off at the waitress. And he goes, but I didn't let her know. And I just started laughing because I was like, literally, dude, like the whole restaurant knew you were pissed off. And I was sitting at the table, and I honestly was almost a little bit afraid. Like, this guy he was like a time bomb. Like, he was so out of control. And he was like, it was so obvious that he was angry. And he was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, dude, like, ask people at the table. Just, like, get out of the fucking mind, like, the insanity that you're in, and start realizing that how you feel, everybody can see it. So when guys say they're not emotional, and I see guys, personally, I see this all the time whenever I go anywhere, and I see men interacting with women, I see guys being very emotional. And to me, it's like, whoa, what the fuck, Like, if you follow the rules that I'm talking about, if you understand this stuff, you can be much less emotional and much more in control and women love it. Women do not like. Basically, women are they see you better than you think. They understand how messed up you are. They know you're emotional. Women know. They can see it. Like if they get tired of it, and they go to talk to their girlfriends, and they say, "Oh, that guy, he's like stomping around." She's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen him." Like they totally know, and it's like they're right too. And then the guys are like, they're like, "Oh, she doesn't. I'm not emotional. She's emotional." And the girls are like, of course they know they're emotional. But they also know that it's almost like they're in some ways, it's almost like the girls are too polite to say it to the guys. Or the guys, it's almost like the guys can't handle the reality of how emotional they are. I think that's maybe it.
And also I think...
Maybe because of tradition or like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but also guys are being shit tested through this whole... Like if there's an ordeal...
Yeah.
Guys are being shit tested, and the girl wants to see how far she can push the guy as well. Like there's a lot of testing in there.
Right.
But the issue is with the guy actually being in control. Like, that's all you have to do. Just remember a moment. Just go, I've got to be in control of this.
No, it doesn't work that simple. No. You can't just, emotions are real. So once you feel something, you can't go back. This is what guys think. They can just like erase it. Just like, oh, I'm just going to get like a pen. Like you got the eraser on the back of the pencil, right? I'll just erase this. I won't be angry, right? It doesn't work. The key thing is you have to the rules will help you to not feel that so that you won't get to that point. So for example, and that is really good. That is exactly what guys try to do. Guys will be very angry and they'll be very emotional, right? And then they'll say, oh, I shouldn't do this. I'm not going to do this. But that doesn't work either. So one, everybody knows, and two, you can't stop it. It's almost like a freight train going down. Once, because what happens in your brain is when you get angry, it releases chemicals. It was like, I think it's like cortisone, something. And one of there's a few chemicals that are released when you're angry. Yeah. And then once those are released into the bloodstream, it takes a while for your body to digest or burn them out or whatever. It takes time. That's why when you get very, very scared of something like a car crash, even for like 30 minutes or 40 minutes afterwards, you're coming down because those chemicals are now released in your brain, your blood. That's the problem with anger. It's not just a thought. It's actually a physical thing. So it takes time to burn it out and get back to normal, right?
Well, it depends. Again,
same with anger.
This is
same
what
with
I
anger.
was going to say initially as well. Is depending on the timeline and the intensity of the person that you're seeing as well, is related to the emotions that are evoked. Because let's say, for example, some girls that I've dated, right? It's almost like I learn about them, but this is a little bit on a longer period, like even if it's for a few months. I learn about them, and I know their traits, and I don't really get emotional. I mean, I have been emotional, years or whatever ago, but now it's almost like, okay, I know the temperament of this person. I know what they're capable. I mean, this is a reaction to them, like as in me reacting to them.
That helps a lot when you know the girl and you can predict it.
That's right, and that's what I'm saying. I can sort of control that because I know, oh shit, she's on a tangent again, or whatever it is, Right. Or I'll just be quiet, I'm just gonna be sitting down and listening, and she has nothing, like she can see that I'm not being provoked, and they'll tire out and whatever, hit the wall, throw for some couple of things around, and that's it. Like I'm paying no attention. Like if it's something that's repetitive and it doesn't really have much meaning, like at least I'm trying to understand her side. Yeah. But I just go, oh no. This is, I shouldn't be copying what I'm getting because of this reason. No,
I don't think it's that. I think what it is you now understand that the best thing for you to do is just let her do it. Because she's going through something and you realize it doesn't really have any meaning. Like the reason why guys get angry is they think it affects them. Well, so you get angry when you get a ticket because then you have higher insurance and stuff. Yeah. But then if you realize that he's going to give you a warning, then you're not angry anymore, right? Because you think it's going to affect you. So the reason why guys get really emotional with women is because they think there's going to be some big effect on their life. You don't get emotional for no reason. You're a logical, intelligent being, right? Yeah. So you're realizing that she's just going to, now you've seen this play out before, And then you just realize that she kind of has to do this, you know?
Or seeing signs.
Yeah.
You can see signs.
Yeah. So it's not that you now know the implications of what she's doing. Whereas when you started with her, you didn't. So you were like, you know, quite worried, like, what is this going to mean? Like in your subconscious is like, never underestimate your subconscious, right? Your subconscious is like 80%, 90% of your life. So your subconscious is going like, wait, what's going to happen next? Like, am I going to have to like redo this, or what's going to, you know, in my life, how's it going to change? You know, your mind's like thinking, and you know, what is it? How am I going to look to other, you know, your mind's like calculating a lot of stuff, right? So once you know that she's kind of like has these kind of days and stuff, it doesn't bother you at all, right? And she actually looks at you the same way.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're frustrated over certain things, she'll start to know you and say, you know, he's frustrated over work, but it's not really that big a deal. Whereas if you lose a contract that really puts you on edge, then she might act differently, right? So that's you're just understanding her, and you're understanding, right? So, but this one is a little different. This one's a little different. The rules are different. So yeah.
Sorry, for myself to understand it and everyone else. So when we're discussing, are we discussing more long-term relationships, or we're discussing short-term, like someone you're just dating or whatever for us, let's say for a month or two max?
Yes. You can decide that when you listen to these. This is wisdom, and you can use it any way you want, really.
Okay.
It's really like a fighting skill. You know, you'll have it when the time is right. You'll just sense it, and you'll be like, "I'll try that." You know, I used it in a certain way, but I'm starting to realize, talking to you guys, that maybe I used it in other times too. Like I'm trying to verbalize something that I did internally. So it's not something that anybody taught me.
Well, that's what
you know,
I was gonna say.
it was I mean, Dawn taught me stuff, but it was like there were just a few things, and then I took it to the next level over the next 30 years, right?
Right.
So,
And also,
without ever trying to explain it, this is the first time actually.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I was thinking is, now I've lost my train of thought.
Okay. I'll just start to go into them.
Yeah.
So the policeman, he doesn't get angry because he's like, okay, he did this and he gets this fine, right? And again, we're in a perfect world here. This is like a video game now. It's not you. It's not the police down the street. It's not your record. It's just like in a video game, right? You know, there's rules in the video game. Maybe that's a better example, right? It's, you know, you have to pay. If you do this, you get 1 point. If you do that, you get negative 1 point. You know, that kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So the video game's not angry at you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's okay. So what are the rules? And why do guys get so angry with women? Why do you know, like, because see, the thing is what I'm talking about, you probably don't even know how emotional you are with women. So you have to first kind of understand that. First, look at yourself from the outside. So start there. Go in a situation where you're frustrated and watch yourself and realize that just how you act, you know, that's a very important. Anytime you want to go deep on anything, you have to see yourself first. You have to, where am I in this? You know, because otherwise, how can you possibly be effective at managing other things outside yourself if you can't manage yourself, right? So it's understanding, not being embarrassed either. It's just being honest. We already, like, no matter how emotional you are right now in your life, you're fine, okay? You're fucking fine. There's no problem. You're now seeing a new aspect of life. You're going to face it. And once you do that, trust me, the world will look different. You'll see how many guys are like this. It'll be really obvious once you get control of your emotions in this sense, right? Like, you'll see it in the movies and everything. You're like, oh my gosh, no way. You'll see movies totally different, right? And then your mom and dad, and you'll just watch your dad, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, right, I get it, you know? So that's the starting point, is seeing that. Because whenever you talk about women, you're talking about you, right? You're the one that's always involved, right? So you have to understand where you're coming from. And be most honest with yourself, because you're the one that's always going to be there, right? Yeah. She's going to be gone, but you'll always be there, right? So that's first thing, understanding where you are. That's really, really important. If you don't understand where you are, you're fucked. There's no way. Can't manage a girl. Let me start going into the rules. So you have it, essentially, the way that you probably operate and the way that every man pretty much operates is that how do I start here? Basically, it's almost like you have a program for the way you act around women. So, you invite them at your house, you take them out to dinner, and then once you start driving to dinner, you're planning to eat dinner, you're planning to park, you're planning to order food, you're planning to either pay the bill or she pays the bill. You've already got like this long, it's almost like a death sentence once you decide something. It's like, it's going to happen, right? You're going to take her home and you're going to try to fuck her. You're going to take her to the restaurant and you're going to pay, or she's going to pay.
Death is more certain.
He said death is more certain. Okay. Yeah. But that's how you operate now, because you have no flexibility. See, that's the problem. You have to start from a different mindset. So when I'm starting with the girls, it's like nothing is set in my mind. We could start going to the restaurant and then she could do something that was very upsetting. And then what most guys would do is they would just continue. They're going to go eat. Okay, so think about this. You're driving to the restaurant and you're going to pay, right? You've already decided this, right? Maybe she paid last time, whatever the reason. You're going to pay. And you start driving the restaurant and then she says something a little bit frustrated. What do? You basically suck it up. Because you just go, we're going to the restaurant, it's going to be fine. And then she says something a little frustrated, and you don't know how to react. You don't know, if it's the day before your wedding and she says something that really pisses you off, you're getting married tomorrow. Like, there's no, as a man, like most men, they're so inflexible. Like, they're like these robots that are programmed to do things. And then once you start going to dinner, you're going to dinner. Once you take her home, and once you do this, it's like you don't have any flexibility. I want to break all that up. You want to be alert and aware at all times and always ready for any shift. So when something shifts, you don't suck it up and you're aware of what's going on. So I'll be driving somewhere and then I'll just be driving, for example, and then let's just say that she does something. Now, again, I really I should somehow try to put this into words. This is not something you've heard before. You've never heard these ideas. This is not like be tough, have rules, make her follow, you're the man, you've got the cock. None of this shit. None of that. It's just totally different. Okay. So just keep that in mind. So basically what I'm thinking is, okay, so I'm driving and also it's not mean. You're not trying to be mean. You're not trying to manipulate her in any way. Right. It's just this is a more natural way to act, actually.
Yeah, to have control over
It's a way that you will have more, you have more options, more control of yourself, and believe me, women will like you better. Okay, this is a guaranteed, no matter what. You're already right now, you're driving. The reason why most guys get arrested and get the accusations and all that is because of all the passive aggressive stuff they're doing that are pissing off the girl without even knowing it. And then the girl's just finally fuck this, I'm going to do it. Now, the guy says, hey, it wasn't right. It was totally wrong. And maybe maybe he is right. But he's not thinking about all the frustration that happened before that. It's building up, right, in her. So what you want to do is you want to be much more flexible. So, and also, in a way, this is in some ways, this is actually much more forgiving and kind than the way most guys do it. Because, okay, so for example, you're driving somewhere. It's safer. Yeah, it's much safer for you. And you, okay, so for example, you're driving to dinner and then she says something that's very, that is surprising, that you just all of a sudden feel bad, and you just think, what most guys, like I said, most guys would just totally suck it up because it's not big enough to get into a fight over. Okay, it's not like she's saying I fucked your boy's best, or she's just saying something just like
that's what was going through.
Yeah, no, it's nothing that serious. It's just a typical. You're going to dinner and she says something, and you're like, wait a second, oh God, that again, or she knows I don't like that, or just something like that. Just something typical thing a girl would say that you don't like, that she kind of knows, and it's just whatever. And so what most guys would do is they would just suck it up. They think they would suck it up. But actually, you don't suck it up.
You bottle it up.
You bottle it up. You collect it. Yeah. So now you're a little bit frustrated. And so then you go and then you now are frustrated. And so you might say it's a little something that's a little bit, kind of a little attack back to her later on. Or you might even right away say something, right? So now Now it's escalated, right? And so then you go to dinner, and then it's just like one more thing and one more thing. Does this sound familiar, right? This is what guys do. And they think it's her. They're doing it. You're doing it. This is important to know. Very important. Because what she does really doesn't matter that much. Because you're not her. You're you. And you want to control that and have access to that. So what I would do is I would say, okay, well, the rules or the penalties, I'll try to tell you a few of mine, and then you can kind of come up with your own, and maybe you'll start to see. Again, it's the King Solomon stuff when it comes to the rules. You have to really understand the girl, understand yourself, understand the situation, because the rules you cannot. I mean, of course, you're going to make mistakes, but if you're a policeman, you cannot just give the guy the death penalty for parking his car in the wrong place, because that will cause total social upheaval. His family will go crazy. Let's just say it's a video game, right? Like the family will start burning down the police station in the video game, and then, the town will start, trampling things, they're like carrying away the statues from the main museum, right? Things are going crazy, right? Because it was very unfair. So you have to have a fair penalty for everything. So it's important. It's important. Like a higher penalty for the same thing doesn't make any sense, right? And it depends on her too, right? Like if you have a lot of money, her spending some money is not that big a deal. But if you have very little money and then she spends the money on stuff, it's a big deal. So it depends on your situation, her situation too, right? And all this stuff, right? So what I would do is I would react, and that's what you have to do. I would let it roll through me what she said, okay, and I would feel. How do I feel about that? How bad was that she said? Like, again, this is the part that's not exactly logical like a policeman. It's not a red curb, but if the more you understand your own body, your own mind, you will know if it's a red curb. Because there are no red curbs in human relations, okay? So you have to know yourself. That's the important thing. You will start to know yourself better as you get more honest and do stuff like this, But so you say to yourself, okay, how do I feel about this? Like, how bad is this? Like, what is this? And then you think, damn, this. Let's say, for example, what I like to do in the beginning when I'm kind of confused or I have a new rule. What I'll do is I'll go to the bathroom and I'll go sit in the toilet. Even if I don't have to go to the bathroom, I'll just go in the bathroom, lock the door, and I'm alone. And then I'm not looking at her, I'm not looking at anything, nobody's looking at me, there's no windows. I'm totally alone, and I like that. That total aloneness allows me to kind of think for a second. So I just feel safe, So you can try it if that works for you. Like even if I'm in my car, if people are looking around, that makes me think. I don't want that. I want to focus. So I'll lock the door in the toilet, and I'll just sit there and I'll go, how do I feel about this? And then I'll say, I don't want to go to dinner with somebody who's saying this. Like let's say, for example, in this scenario, let's say it's bad enough that I think to myself, you know what? This is like the beginning of a bad night, and I wanted to make this a nice night. I wanted to. You think about what you wanted to do, right? This will become more natural. It's like riding a bike. It's hard in the beginning. It's hard to drive a stick shift, but eventually it's just like, you can just drive it like that. So I just think to myself, how do I feel about this? Like, damn, do I want to have dinner with somebody who just said that? And now I need to think, no, I'm actually pretty angry. Like, this has actually got to me. And then this is not right. This is not good. Now I'm going to act this way. I'm going to do this. So what I would do is I would now in this case, there's no bathroom. I'm driving, so the scene's not perfect. But let's imagine I saw a service area and I stopped before the restaurant and I went in there. Then I get out and I think, you know what? I don't want to have dinner with somebody who just said that. It's going to frustrate me. I'm already frustrated. And I would just say, oh, babe, I just was in the bathroom and I got a text. I got to go to work. I know we had the thing planned, but I can't do it. I got to go to work. And she'll be like, she will not know that she said something that made you change like that. And there is no reason to get into it with her because you are emotional right now. Okay, so it's the worst time to talk to her about it. Guys think, I got to be honest. It's like, you want to be honest? You're ready to be an asshole. That's being honest. It's not honest with her. Honest with yourself. You want to be honest? You're pissed off, right? And you're radiating pissed offness. And everybody can feel it. And you're the only one who doesn't know and thinks he's covering it up. You want to be honest? Let's be honest, right? So we have faults, right? As men, right? We're people, right? So then what I would say, I'd say, I'd be nice. I'd just be like, I wouldn't. And also, where is my emotion? Where is my emotional meter? My emotional meter is not high at all, because I was for a second, because I was thinking, okay, I'm going to go to dinner with this girl who said this, and now I feel frustrated, and I'm going to do that. You can kind of sense it. Once you know how you act, you're going to know that it's going to be a bad dinner, kind of. You know what I mean? Like that would be the reason why I would change. So I just say, I'm so sorry. I got to go to work. I got to do this project. I just got to call, whatever it is. And then I would lie. Okay, that's important. If you want to be, you can't, some people, like there's people out there who think you should never lie. You got to get over that. It's because the reason why is because it's dishonest. Okay, it's dishonest. Because, supposedly you're not lying. Why? Because Jesus, Muhammad, why are you not lying? What is the fucking reason why this is so bad?
Well, a lot of it is fear. People don't lie also because of fear. Lie and don't lie because of fear.
It could be fear. It could be whatever. It's some stupid rule that you learned as a child, probably in third grade.
It's conditioning.
It's conditioning.
You don't lie.
Yeah, you don't lie, right? It's like, no. I say no. I say your good or bad actions are dependent more on their reaction. So, for example, and this is something I learned in sales and also in pickup, is that the way that people react to me is my fault. Okay, so another salesman could go up to them. See, if I want to lie to myself, I could walk up to people, right? When I was selling stuff in the electronics shop, when I was just in college, I could walk up and they would not buy, and I could tell my boss, "Oh, he was an asshole," or they didn't want to buy. But the truth would come out because the other salesman would be in a better mood, and then they would walk back in or whatever, or they would be just still standing there, and then he would go up and sell it, and they would buy the full stereo with the extended warranty and everything. And so I could sit there and convince myself, but at the end of the month, you look at your sales figures and they don't lie. And you can see that it's so easy to lie to yourself. It's just so rampant. I think that's probably the biggest message here is stop lying to yourself. Be honest with yourself. And you think that girl, she put you in, she did false accusations. How did she treat the next guy? Maybe not the same. You got to be honest with yourself. A lot of the problems that you have is that you're causing. You're part of them. And it's just over and over. It's almost a repetitive injury kind of thing. It's just so the key thing is to step out of all of that and then to start to say, okay, I'm open. I don't want to have a shitty life. I don't want people to hate me. I don't want to be acting a way that I don't even understand. At least I want to understand myself. I want to know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I don't want to be like a robot out of control. It's red pill the world, and this is red pilling yourself, right? You're seeing yourself, So the reason why I wasn't angry is because I was angry, but the reason why I was angry, okay, and again, this is complicated, right? I was angry because my mind was saying, now I'm going to spend, let's say in this scenario, I don't usually do this, but let's just say in this scenario, the guy, let's say in a movie, or the guy was going to spend $50 on dinner. So now you're going to spend $50 on dinner, and it's a lot of money for you, or $10,000, or whatever the fuck it is, depending on how much money you have. Yeah, and she said this, and now you're going to say this, and then she's going to say this, and it's not even going to be a nice night, and the money's going to be wasted.
Maybe tomorrow's not going to be nice, and the day.
And you're not going to have sex that night, and so it's yeah, exactly, that sets off things, right? So for me, I'm like no. I think about it, and I think no, this is a serious thing. I can't, and it's not because of Jesus, it's not because of the Bible, it's not because of a set of rules. It's because of how it makes you feel too. So my reaction is bad. So sometimes I don't understand my reaction. I might be very angry about something she said, and I might understand why am I angry, but I trust myself and I say, you know what? There's a reason. I'll figure it out later. But I'm really angry about that remark. I don't like it, but I don't want to get into a fight about it. I want to figure it out, right? Like, well, why am I so angry about this? Maybe it's not even her fault. I don't know. Maybe it's like something happened to me like a long time ago, or I don't know. But either way, I don't want to get into it with her because it's not. It's no. And then I say, okay. I say I gotta go, and then she's like, girls are always pretty cool because now you haven't really done anything. Like you haven't now. There's no the level. Imagine the emotional level is almost at zero right now. It's at zero. She just said something she was a little frustrated with. It hit you the wrong way, and you realize like, no, this is not the night for the dinner. Like I'll do a dinner with this girl if she's cool, and we're gonna have a nice night. Then that would be awesome. But tonight with this, no, it's not right. So just the emotional level is low now for me. Because now I'm like thinking, well, what can I do tonight? Like, what's going to go on tonight? So then, and it also her emotion because she doesn't get that you pinged off her. So that the pinging is what creates it. You ping, and it just gets higher and higher, right? So you didn't ping off her. So it's almost like when you send a message into deep space looking for aliens, it doesn't come back. It just keeps going. That's what the radio waves do. You can listen to 1910 radio transmissions out at the edge of the universe, because they're still going. There's nothing to stop them in space, right? So you actually can listen to radio. You can listen to live radio.
Speed of light, though.
You have to get way out there. But if you had a radio out way out in outer space, you could listen to the Yankees winning the 1920 World Series or something, right? Yeah. And you can say, and Babe Ruth, a home run, because it's still going. Yeah. It's still there. It's so when she put it out there, it's just now going out into space, and it didn't hit you. It didn't respond back to you. Yeah. It's not like aliens got it and sent back a message, we're going to nuke your country, It's like, it's just going out there. It's gone now. And so she feels a little bit better. She let it go, and you didn't react. And then you suddenly had to go to work. And then in a way, she's kind of relieved in a way too, because she, at some level, she knows that she kind of said something frustrated, right? So she might think, I was kind of like this. I shouldn't have said that. She might actually think that. But if you react to it, she will not think that. She'll think you, and it will become all about you. But if you just don't react, women are not totally, like they're also understanding that what they say affects other people, and they realize, oh, this guy. Now, if you okay, so that's one example. So then I'd say, oh, babe, I'm sorry. And I'd be nice, and it totally would lie. And that's important because sometimes you got to lie so you can figure things out, so you can get over it. And also, some things are not worth talking about. And this is not worth talking about at all. Whatever she said, it's not the discussion. The discussion is you're learning how not to be emotional and how not to ping and how not to get into a stuck state where you're now doing this with her because you promised and you agreed and you're driving there and you have a reservation. Who gives a fuck about any of that stuff? The main thing is you want to keep in control of yourself and you don't want to create unnecessary damage in your life, right? Which is what would happen. It's one more emotional state. And women, like in that sense, they are very, their memory of emotion is very strong. So when they think, like when they fuck you over in a divorce, the reason why not many women have fucked me over, I think it's because of these rules. And because I don't get them all angry, generally, like it doesn't happen. Now, there are exceptions in my life, and those are exceptions that are, to me, very visible because they are such exceptions. And I can see that the times that I did get into something, and usually there was some complicated thing that made it that way, right? There was something that tied me to them. There was something that I didn't have choice about. There's something that usually it wasn't. I'm pretty strict with these rules. Like I'm pretty good. So that's one rule. Is I'm going to dinner and she says something. I feel my feelings. I'll try to narrow it down. And I feel my feelings and I say, what is this infraction? Is this a red curb? Is this a death penalty? Is this overnight in jail? What is this? What is the penalty for this? And you'll start to get a feeling for what makes sense for you. And do not give a higher penalty than deserves. Because that means that your emotions now are up. And you don't want that. You just say, okay, I'm going to stop it right now. And okay, boom, here's the penalty. No dinner tonight. Right? And then you go. So then as things get more, it's like, for example, let's say she does, I remember one girl, she said to me, this girl was actually a really good girl. She was always generally a very good girl. And this was so weird about it. Girls are so weird. I'm sure guys are too, from a girl's perspective. But like, they're so weird because this girl was such a good girl. Like, she, for so long, right? And then one day, and she always never admitted she said this, but one day, I was totally out of nowhere. She would always talk, she was married, right? And she would always talk about her husband and always say he's like so lame and retarded and this and that. And I don't want to hear that.
I should meet him one day.
I would never. I try not to let girls talk like that because I don't want to even hear this. But she would just say it once in a while, either in her face or voice or whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to hear about any other guys because I don't. Basically, when women talk about their men, I don't believe them. So I was just like, whatever. In my mind, he could be the coolest guy ever. I had no idea if she's telling the truth. I knew she was frustrated with him or whatever. And so one time we were having sex and she said something about him and sex, like out of nowhere. And I had known her for like a long time. So it's not like I met her for one day. Like, I had a long history with this girl. She was one of my good girls. We had done a lot of stuff. We had threesomes. We had a lot of experience together. So there was a lot of goodwill with this girl. So it wasn't like, and so she said something about her husband while we were having sex, and I'm like, out of nowhere, I'm like, what are you talking about? I was thinking to myself, like, this is the other thing about the rules. You got to be ready for the torpedo, the Pearl Harbor. That's what this was. This was Pearl Harbor, out of nowhere, blue skies, perfect day, bombing attack, right on me. I'm like, what the? Yeah, like, no matter how many, this is like Pearl Harbor right here. I'm like, fuck this. I'm like, no way. So I'm like, I had my rules were now, I had a very sophisticated set of rules. And so I thought, I got to do something right now about this. And so I just flipped her over, and I had never fucked her in the ass before. And I knew, and so I never even brought it up with her. And I just, like, no lube, I just started just like, and it was like, you could see it was painful. Like, it was, and we did it. And it did it hard, And then afterwards, like, this girl was very intelligent too. So she was quite intelligent. And she had seen my rules over the years. And so she knew what I was doing, even though I didn't say it right. And you could see, it was almost like she relaxed. Because at first she was like, she looked at me like, what are you doing? This hurts, And then she looked back at me, and then I could see her mind going, I said that. He's penalizing me now. I have a choice of leaving or taking it, because she could leave. Like, I'm not gonna, if she wants to leave, that was totally fine too. But I was gonna, we were already having sex, right? So I was like, this is it right now. And I figured this is a fair penalty. So the penalty can be fun in a way. It can be kind of fun. Now, I'll tell you a more fun one after this, but this worked out pretty well because it was painful, okay? Because I could even see, like, get graphic, but I could almost see, like, her ass was not used to it. I don't think she had ever done it before. Because the skin was, like, pulling out and stuff. It was looking kind of uncomfortable, And I was like, this is a perfect penalty. Right now, for this girl, this is a perfect penalty. And did it quite rough and hard. And then afterwards, I saw her relax because there's something in the woman that she realized that I gave her the penalty, but she knew I wasn't going to be passive aggressive. Like, she wasn't on guard about anything. She knew this was it. It was clean. This was it. I was unhappy, and I was going to do this. And she knew that if she said no, she could definitely say no. She could leave, no problem, right? She had her car. She could just drive home. We were at the beach. She could just go. But she also knew that it was going to be like I was unhappy and she had done something wrong. So she's like, here's my chance to make up for it right now, because I didn't go for it. See, she put the bait out there. The Pearl Harbor was to see how I would react. So if I was going to react in one way, she was testing me in a way. Women. Mm-hmm. Okay, and here's the thing about shit testing. Guys don't understand. You got to get over this. Shit testing is in their DNA. It's important for women to shit test. They have to know. Now, this is the basics. They have to know if the man is going to be tough enough to stay with them. When the baby comes and the tiger comes and the lion comes and the snakes come and the earthquakes come and the floods come. And like, this man is strong enough mentally in every way. And it's not just they just test you once. They have to test you consistently because you can look very strong as a man, but you can actually have a major weakness that will destroy you. Like, you could be a very strong man, but then you could have this one weakness where you're like a daydreamer and then the tiger eats you. right? It's not even about you and her. It's about your ability to survive is what she's testing. She's actually not shit testing you. She's shit testing you as a person. In some ways, it's kind of good for you. She's testing you. How strong are you? Are you going to be so emotional? Are you going to be in control of yourself? Right? Can you handle the test of a woman? An endless test. And that is the thing. Like, guys get all angry and upset. Emotional. Right? She's
Evolutionary as well.
she is absolutely, if she does not test you, she is an absolute imbecile. And she's going to die and get eaten by a tiger immediately. You know what I mean? There's no way her genes will get... She has to be able to test the guy and know. It's like if you just took money, if I give you money and you don't... And let's say that there was a lot of, counterfeit money going around. Or let's say I had a counterfeit money, machine working in the corner, and I handed you a bunch of money like, hey, let me buy your car. You'd have to say, wait a second, he's got a machine over there printing up fake money. He just handed me a bunch of money for my car with no care in the world. I'm going to test this money to see if it's real, right? You have to make sure, right? You can't just say, oh, thanks for the money. Oh, the machine over there, that doesn't matter,
That's the Reserve Bank.
Yeah, it's just, he's just playing around like this. He would never, It's like, no, wait a second, there's a risk here, right? So women are doing that for a good goddamn reason, and you have to respect that. This is, in fact, if a woman doesn't do that, if she's too stupid to know that she has to test her man at every level, you shouldn't, there's nothing to respect. She's not going to survive. A good woman, she does shit test you, and she will, but she'll do it. I think that I don't want to I don't want to exaggerate this because, again, everything is complicated, right? So obviously, if she's being a complete cunt is not the same as shit testing, right? That's different, okay? That's completely different. I'm talking about shit testing. She's testing you, and you know it. As a man, you know it at some level when someone's testing you. They're testing you to see how honest you are, how in control of your emotions you are, how you act when you're angry. Why does she test you about that stuff? Because she has to know if you're going to kill her. She has to know that. If you get too angry as a man, men kill things. We're strong. That's why we hunt, And at some level of her being, she's testing you to see if you're dangerous. She wants to know if she's safe with you. She wants to know if she's safe with you. That means from you too, right? So it's like what she's doing is actually a very deep thing. Yeah. And you should, I think you should at some level should accept it and just say, hey, a good woman will do this. I don't like it, but as a man, it kind of does raise your level a little bit, a tiny bit, right? It does, because you realize, wait a second, I am out of control emotionally, right? We're not robots. We're imperfect, guys. Just get over it. You're going to make mistakes. We're not like, we're red pill, we're perfect. Other guys are blue pill, they're not perfect. It's like, no, we're all working through shit. We're all dealing with stuff. And the only way you can improve is by facing the reality of your fucking life, right? So let's just get that. It's a never-ending improvement. You can always be better. You can always do greater things. You can always, you know what I mean? You can always be more in touch with yourself and create something that means more to you. And you can always raise, there's just a million things you can do in life. Most guys, they only see their job and everything, but in reality, there's a shit ton of shit you can do. That's awesome, right? But you start when you do this kind of stuff, right? You start to, you get control of yourself and you can see the world clear. So here's a good one. So this girl did something pretty bad. I can't remember what it was.
Sorry, which girl was this?
Another girl. And so I think what she did was she came to my house without calling. She just showed up at my house. So stalker, right? And she just showed up. And she knew I had other girls, so she was obviously trying to catch me with another girl. And so I said, I wouldn't let her in, and I'm just like, this is not cool. And she kind of said something like, she kind of looked at me and she kind of said, kind of I'm sorry in a way. And I was like, what are you doing here, And then I said, did we have an appointment? And she's like, well, no, but I just, and I'm like, and this is a thing that girls do, right? So, and
The Popeye.
It's the stalker. It's the beginning of a stalker. It's the minimal stalker. It's the stalker light. It's just showing up, just kind of testing to see, finding out. It's curiosity. Again, watch your emotions. If you're getting super upset about stuff, you're the one that's messed up. Like, you have to look at it rationally. You say, what is she doing? I say, okay, this girl's generally good, and now she's doing something that's, this could go bad here. Like, this is not good. Showing up at my house. I don't do that. Okay. I don't show up at girls' houses. Right. You know what I mean? And so that's like with girlfriends, I don't do that. If I ever did that, and I did it once, I had a very good legal reason to do it. It's a totally different scenario. But in general, like, I don't do this. I don't, and that's the other thing. Oh, that's the other thing with the rules is you don't break your own rules. So it's not like she has these tough rules and you don't have rules on yourself. It's like, sometimes I'm quite curious about the girls too. Like, I'll be like, God, I really want to know more about this girl just in case, because I might have like several girls and I'll have one and I'll think, I want to know if she's like, just like part of you want to know if she's married or fucking another guy or whatever, like what she does. You kind of like,
but you kind of know it already. But
you kind of know, but you want to see it. You want to just like, and so it's in you too. Right? So that's the other thing. You have to realize when she shows up, I see her as like almost like a puppy. She's coming up. She's doing what she wants. She's curious about me. Obviously, she likes me. And obviously, she knows she did wrong. She's not supposed to be there. So it's like, but if I go crazy, okay, then it becomes a real problem, right? But at the same time, I consider this is red line shit here. Okay, I have red lines. Okay, showing up at my house without calling is red line. That's a red line. That's it. That's it. There's gray and there's red. This is red. You cannot do that because of the implications could be so serious, I don't want that. Because the thing is, even if I'm not doing anything wrong, it will make me nervous if I have somebody like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like if let's just say, for example, right now, over by that couch over there, somebody popped up, one of your friends, and you're like, dude, what are you doing here? Like, you're thinking to yourself, like, he's like, hey, you're like usually you would be like, hey, but like this time you're like, how long was he there? Like why?
It's kind of like an invasion of your own privacy.
You would feel very nervous in this house because you'd be like, wait a second, that guy, why the fuck was he there? Like, because he didn't spend the night last night, so you would start to get nervous, right? That's what happens when somebody shows up at your house without calling. It's going to make you very, very hyper vigilant. And it will hurt your life. Like, it's not good. And you don't want yourself to be living under that. You want to be comfortable with people. You want to trust that they're reliable. And that's why that's why human nature, if you see a guy with a limp, that's why everybody like stays away from him. Okay, now logically, this poor guy's got a bad leg. This fucking poor guy, like, probably lost in the war, whatever it was, industrial accident. But there's this emotional part of you, like, where you give him space because you're like, he's acting weird, right? Now, once you get over it, right, and you say, no, this guy's got a bad leg because of some injury, and like, you see people, like, I see this now because I see it in myself. I'm honest with myself. My first reaction is to walk away. Is to move away when I see somebody walking really strange, because that's my amygdala. That's my emotional brain. I can't control it. It's the fastest part of your brain. The stem, and then the amygdala, it's like instant, right? And so I instantly like move away from him. Just like when you were first angry telling your divorce story, I moved away from you emotionally. I was like, this guy's a powder keg. What's he going to do next, right? That was my first reaction. Then my rational brain came in and said, this is the worst divorce story I've ever heard. And of course he's frustrated. This is the worst divorce story I've ever heard in my life. So, yeah, when he told me the first time. And I was like, wait a second. My rational brain took over and said, wait, that's normal. You should, the worst divorce story would make a guy very traumatized and acting weird to the outside world, right? It's like somebody from Iraq. A bomb went off, and then when somebody closes the door, they fall on the floor, go under and they put their cower down. Right? It's not weird if you understand his history. You could say he's weird, but like everybody knows that's a sign. If a vet does that, nobody thinks it's weird because they know the reason, right? And so I know if somebody goes to a divorce is going to be traumatized, seriously traumatized, especially a bad divorce, right? It's not like it's not like the logical thing. You're traumatized. You have physical trauma, mental. It comes back. It's like subconscious shit is going on in your mind. You got to get over that. And that's actually I'm gonna That's what I'm going to work on. Like, this is my next project, actually, is trauma stuff. And I've worked through it myself, and I really feel like I'm ready to really come up with a fucking blockbuster stuff about trauma. But anyway, so back to the thing. So where was I going with that? Let me see. What was that? What was I just saying before that?
About where he was going with Ray's divorce.
No, before that, the rules, the girls.
You did the
Emotional.
penalties to make sure they're...
Oh, the penalties, okay.
Like dedicated
Right,
to society.
right.
Once the penalty's
Okay.
done, it's over.
So she shows up at my house, right? And I have, because I've made these rules for years, I know where my red lines are. And the red line is not necessarily her intent. So she could really try to hurt me, okay? But let's say you're a professional boxer or kickboxer, and then she really tries to hit you really hard. Even though her intent is to break your nose, because your skill is so high, you actually don't get angry. Because you're just like, you just block it. And so another guy to him, that would be a red line. But to a professional fighter, it's not a red line because he's already ready for it. So your red line is depending on you, right? Your own, you have to know yourself to know what a red line is for you. Because certain things like bother some people and they don't bother other people. Like for me, that's one thing why I like about kids. Kids can be literally destroying my house, breaking windows, breaking furniture, throwing walls, breaking the windows, the lights. It doesn't bother me. Like literally, that's why my house is like just stuff that can be broken. The only thing I care about is my hard drives and my computer and my phone. That's it. Those are the only things. Like my clothes even, it's like whatever. I mean, I care a little bit about some of them, but it's like that's minimal. It's, it can be replaced, right? I would say that would be the second. Like there's some clothes they fit me right. They fit situations. They're good for traveling. They have some value to me, but not much. Like furniture never has any value to me at all. Like I'm happy with a Japanese room with no furniture. Yeah. So they could break all the furniture. We could throw all the furniture away. We could be on the floor with a little like a zabuton, like laying on the ground with a little bit. I'd be totally happy, right? It'd be in a box, as like a table. That would be fine with me. So I know myself, like what bothers me and what doesn't bother me. And you know yourself and So these rules have to be based on yourself. So for myself, a girl showing up, especially at the time, because she knew I had many girlfriends, right? And for her to show up is just explosive because I know my own history. I've had girls show up and then physically fight the girls I'm with. I've had like huge physical brawls in my house of two girls, right? Where they're grabbing hair and ripping clothes off. And I've had this kind of stuff. Like I even had one like basically throwing shit around, like girls that get so, two girls, they just get, like total girl fight. And the thing is, I don't mind it actually, but my neighbors do. So whenever like it happens, my neighbors always they're all riled up for like 6 months if there's a big girl fight in front of my house, So I know now that I don't want problems with the neighbors because if you bring a lot of girls home, you already have enough problems with the neighbors, right? You don't need this. This wakes them up and everything. It's always in the middle of the night too. These girl fights are always in the middle of the night because they know you're gonna have a girl spending that, so they come over then, right? And then pictures get thrown around and like accusations, and you learn new words though. I learned the word mental hospital when I was first in Japan because the girl said you should be in the, like it was all in Japanese. She goes seishin byoin, you should be in the seishin byoin, and then I was like seishin is like basically your mental, like your mental state. Yeah, and then byoin is hospital. I'm like mental hospital. I'm like no way. That's how I learned the mental hospital. Yeah, it was two girls, and the one girl was actually right about it. Oh, by the way, that's a kind of interesting story. This is actually an interesting story. Like Godzilla versus what was it? Godzilla versus
Megalon or something.
Megalon. Yeah, you had these things. This was an interesting one because you had one girl was a top Ginza hostess. So Ginza is like the most sophisticated part of Japan. It's like we're all in the bubble. This is back in the bubble, this was the big money, like the Fifth Avenue times 10. It was just like the hottest. She was one of the top hostesses in Ginza, right? And the other girl was such a country girl from the countryside of Japan that she wore overalls in Tokyo. She had a huge rack, but she wore overalls. Yeah, and the other girl was tiny. So the girl from the countryside was like stocky and big boobs, and she had like strong legs, and she wore overalls, no makeup, and long hair, right? She was like a softball player kind, And the other girl's like tiny, high heels. She had like blisters and like all these things on her heels because she wore heels. She would wear heels to the bathroom. I mean, she wore heels all the time, right? Always a mini skirt, always shaved box, always the high heels every day, always makeup. And oh, by the way, I thought I didn't like those kind of girls. That girl was awesome. I liked her because she had a sense of humor. So you think you like a certain kind of girl, but actually that's not true. You just don't have much experience. The more girls you have, you realize. I love those girls. Those I call them fire engine girls. The fire engine girls that are just always perfect. I love those girls too, actually. I realize that they're different. Those fire engine girls, if they're blowing you, let's say you had a cold and you just had a blowjob for another girl, they will finish the job no matter how hard it is, no matter how long it takes. Because, you look at the bruises on their feet, from the wearing those high heels. They're tough, actually. Those girls are actually very tough, those girls. They don't look tough. Everybody thinks the country girl would win. Well, anyway, so back to the story. So they're fighting, and then I thought, I wonder who's going to win here, because we got two totally different types here, right? And then and I thought for sure the country girl was going to win, right? Yeah. And then they just started going at it, and then no way. The city girl, she just destroyed the country girl. And she was just much more vicious. The country girl was more fair, in the fight. I watched the fight. It was interesting. And then yeah. Well, I wasn't going to get it. The light. No, this was better. You could sense what you should do as a man. This time was the time to just watch. It was the girls on girls. They were going to do their thing, and I was just going to sit there. Right. So anyway, so what was I saying there? I lost the train of thought now. Back to.
She kicked her ass.
She won. Oh yeah. So back to the other girl. So I had seen this. I knew what could happen when a girl shows up, and this experience had happened, and that was a very traumatic for my neighbors. My landlord went crazy, tried to kick me out for like 5 years after that. I had to get a lawyer, because they, this kind of, and I realized it was. I was young. I didn't. You're learning as you go, right? I wouldn't do that again. Like in that kind of
stigma anyway, because you're young, troublemaker sort of thing. That's a bit of a
well, this in Japanese society, like this kind of fight where the girls are ripping their clothes off and stuff, and in the middle of the night and screaming, and it's not really like she's got 3 boys. It wasn't like a modern apartment building. It was kind of like in a Japanese neighborhood. Right. I can understand now. I understand their side now too, but at the time I couldn't understand. I was like, I'm paying rent. It's my apartment. I'm not doing this fight. Like this is your people. These are locals here. This is not me. But anyway, now I see both sides, and I totally understand the Japanese. I understand I was wrong essentially. Now, this is 30 years. I understand now I was wrong actually. I shouldn't have let this happen, but I didn't know, and it happened. And so anyway, I didn't want it to happen again. So when the girl showed up, this was red line stuff because I knew what could happen. I looked at her. She was very sweet and everything, and she wasn't trying to really do anything bad. The winner showed up at my door. And so I said, okay, so this is back to the rule. What rule did I come up with? I couldn't think of anything. So I said, this is actually pretty bad for me. This type of girl showing up, like it's not, I don't mind stalkers. That stalkers grow on me actually. But it was the fighting and the neighbor problem that bothered me. So I'm like, yeah, I don't want to have to get a lawyer, and like I don't want all this, I didn't want to piss the neighbors off either. It's not, they're just trying to live their life, the older Japanese. They're being nice. They're not.
Even cultures like that as well.
Yeah, they don't need this shit, girls screaming and everything. And it is Tokyo and everything. But like either way, I see both sides. And so I said, okay, red line, got to do something serious. So what I did was sometimes the rule will come to you if you give yourself time. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I just basically was busy. So whenever I don't know what to do, or actually as a penalty itself, as one of the penalties, is to not answer the phone or not be available. So just say, I'm kind of busy today. I'm busy working is one of the best rules. It's if you want one rule that's very effective at all times, and that's I'm busy. Okay.
That one quite a lot.
I'm busy with work.
Yeah.
I got stuff going on. Things are super busy right now. Yeah. And you don't get into it. You're just kind of like, this is it. This is the penalty. And the girls are smart. They know that you're not necessarily that busy, but they also know they did something wrong. And they also know that you're not getting into it with them. And they appreciate it. Trust me. They'll be like, this guy is so cool because he does somehow like let himself be known, but he doesn't, attack me or like, he's not secret.
He packages it well.
No, not packaging. I'm not deliberately provoking her. The guys are provoking these girls.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that anymore. You just say, no, I won't do that. But at the same time, how do I keep control? How do I get this to make sense, So with the girl, I couldn't think of anything. So I was busy. And of course, she knows I'm not that busy. And because I would meet her generally at least once or twice a week, right? And so then it got to a week and I couldn't think of anything. And I was actually thinking of the death penalty for her on this. I was going to say no more, But I wasn't quite sure if it was right. It just didn't quite seem right. Because she was a pretty good girl in general. So I was like, I don't know what to do with this one. And whenever you don't know what to do, you tend to go back to passive aggressive. Like just tell her, start lecturing her. You will never mansplain if you do these rules. Because that's what the reason why girls don't like mansplaining is what it is it's I just figured it out. It is exactly what I'm talking about. So guys will say, well, women's mansplaining out. No, forget about women. You're emotional, they know it. You're like passive aggressive, saying things that piss her off, and pissing her off, and you're raising the temperature of the room, and you're thinking you can get away with it, and that it doesn't matter. But that's what's really going on. You're actually frustrated because she left the mustard open again, and you're gonna instead of like doing something about it, you're just gonna like provoke her a little bit because you like let it out on her. I don't let it out on nothing. So okay, I thought okay. So I was just nice. I was busy. I'm busy. I would text, busy. And then I was like, what do I do with this girl? Is that death penalty? And then I started to feel my body after a week, and I thought, you know what? This is not death penalty. No. I said, what do I do? So I thought of it. Perfect. This was the best. This is the genius one right here. So okay, it was pretty serious. I thought I got to do something. So you use the penalty as a way to do something that you've always wanted to do, but she never let you. Okay? So to do something outrageous that you've never done. So I said, I just thought of this. I don't know how I thought of this, but I just, this is going to sound really weird, but either way, I'm just going to say, because this will give you an idea of where you can go with this. So I said, what is something totally socially unacceptable that I've always kind of interested in, thought about, and never did it? Okay, so let me give you a little background. There was a Japanese porn movie called Time Stop, and it was like really interesting. And what it was is the guy had a time machine. He had like a little remote control, and so he would walk through the life, right? He'd see a hot girl on the train, and then he pressed the button, and then everybody was frozen except him. They were like statues. So he would like screw any girl he wanted to. He was just like time stop, and then just like he sees a hot girl. She's like sitting on a park bench with a guy, and then he would just like bone the heck out of her. Then he would like put her clothes back on, and then he would like hit the time stop, and then she would kiss her boyfriend and everything. Yeah. So he had this time stop. And I looked at that movie and I thought, that is such a fascinating idea. Because I never had thought of that. But I remember then after that, I watched Time Stop. I was sitting on a train and this girl was so hot next to her. I'm like, I wish I had the time stop. This girl's like so hot. Like there's something about it. Like, obviously you're not going to do it. This is like, we're talking human nature, all this stuff, right? So you find a playful way to indulge yourself in life. Instead of covering it up, find playful ways. So I said, okay, what can I do? I just suddenly realized that. I thought, one thing I've never done, because I had, no matter how many girls I had, they always look at me in the eyes, and they always want to talk to me, and they always want to talk to me afterwards and before, which is fine. I like talking. It's fine. It's totally fine. But for one time, I just wanted to do it without saying a goddamn word, and just like, almost like a stranger. So I said, I thought of it. I said, okay. I said, if you want back in, basically, I want you to do something. Okay, so I want you to get a mini skirt, shave your pussy. I want you to stand in this dark, under this tree, in this park, specific tree. Yeah, I'm just going to fuck you. And then you cannot say anything to me. You cannot say my name. And you cannot say anything afterwards.
And
so
call the police.
No. And I said, no, we had a very good relationship, right? I said, I'm going to come up and I'm just going to have sex, and then I'm going to leave, and then you're not going to say a single word. And then she's like, and she was like relieved because she knew that it was I was really upset. And she knew that, and she was again, this girl was intelligent, and she goes, she's like, that's a fair, I could tell, she was kind of like, that's a fair penalty. Like, that makes sense. And she knew that once I did that, I would be totally fine with her. Like, no emotions at all. Like, happy. I'd even be more happy. Like, after these rules are carried out, you're actually more happy with her because, like, she's playful. She's playing along with you, and you're playing along with her. That's the thing. They're not angry. The rules are not policemen. They're actually playful in general. Like, most of the rules are kind of playful. And so I for my rules, right? And so then I did it. I went. She was under the tree, and as I approached her, I realized how hot it was. Like, it was incredibly hot, actually. I never wanted to do it again or before, but just that one day, it was super hot. I think that's what about sex is, like, everything is hot once, in general. Usually not twice. Like, that's why it's good to try different things and try different girls, because you'll realize that it's not that you have I think people that get fetishes are basically people that are basically inflexible. We all have desire for different things. At some point, we want to experience a very hot bath, a freezing cold bath, a warm bath, a different type. But we don't want to use it every day. You just want to go to the ice bath once. You go to the hot bath, the ice bath, you might. And so with this one, it was just a one-time thing. And it was just kind of this fantasy. Maybe it was because you're so pent up in modern life and you can never just like be an animal. And I just wanted to be an animal with her. And I did like the way she looked and everything. And like, she was good for me. It was a good match. There was a natural attraction with this girl. And so I did it. I went up to the park. I saw her in the park, and she actually did it really well. She like looked the other way and everything. She's like looking towards the tree, and I came up behind her, and then she didn't say anything, and then we did it, and then I noticed her pussy was like sopping wet, right? It was just totally sopping wet, right? And I just like absolutely, and I knew that her regular, and I just like absolutely rammed her so hard, right? And then I finished and I just walked away, and it was an amazing feeling because I had never done that before. And then as I got about then the rule was she couldn't say anything at all that night. But as I walked about maybe 50 feet away, she turns around and starts following me, right? But it was fine. Like it was actually perfect. She could sense. It's almost like you're dancing in a relationship. You're dancing. You're moving. She's moving. You're predicting where you're going to move. She's predicting which foot to put the weight on, right? And so she sensed that I was completely finished and that it was fine. And then she started following me, even though it was breaking the rule. But it was done. It was totally done. The penalty was finished. We were back together, even better than before, because we had done all this without any bad feelings. There was no bad feelings. And then she came up and she like grabbed my arm, and it was like super romantic in a way, She was like absolutely hanging on me that night, and it was awesome, right? So the way that you like kind of the rules that you come up with are going to depend on yourself. And I don't know if you can do this. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying like that is a rule for you. I'm just saying this was the most extreme of a guy who had a lot of experience, and it was a very specific time and a very specific girl and all that. But I could see this working with married couples, even that one, like stuff like that. It's a way to take the emotion out of it, but also let people know. Like, I think the time apart is also a key thing. If I would have done that the next day, it wouldn't have been right. She had to long after me. She had to try. She was doing all the right. See, in that 2-week period, she never did any new penalties. So she didn't show up at my door. It was clean. She didn't like send any mean messages. She knew that I was coming up with a penalty, right? And she also knew that it might be the death penalty, because she knew me, right? So nothing else new. If something new had happened, it would have been over, because I already was close to the death penalty just because of my past experience. And so she sensed it. I don't think she understood why. She probably never understood why that was such a big deal for me. But it was a big deal because of my history, right? And I just thought, I don't want that nervousness, that just hypervigilance. People show up, and it's not that I mind. It's just like it causes problems for me. And I like, my neighbors, it was a big surprise to me how much people like care about it. I don't see, for myself, I don't care. If you had 2 girls fighting next to my door, I could care less. I just put in earplugs. Like, it wouldn't bother me at all. But other people, like if they have children and stuff, it bothers them a lot, right? And so I kind of got to, sometimes you have to get an awakening for how other people's viewpoints is different than your own, right? For myself, if girls were fighting, I wouldn't even want to watch. I'm not a voyeur. Like, I don't care about watching people. I just would be like, whatever, girls are fighting, put in my ear, put on a movie or whatever, music or whatever, audiobook. So that was the most extreme penalty. And it actually ended up being very hot and very appropriate. And she appreciated it. She appreciated that the emotion was taken out of it. She appreciated that we got back together. And she also knew, and she never did it again. She never did it again. And there was no bad feelings. In fact, there was good feelings. There's always a good feeling when you handle things the right way. Like, it's like, because again, it's like you get to know each other better. And she realized there's, like, I think most men, they're kind of like Jack in the Boxes. Like, they're just like, suddenly, here's what I really am like, And one thing Owen Cook said that I think is so great is guys will take Tyler Durden, Mars D, right? He said, like, I don't know if he said this in a video or said it to me, but he just said, like, most guys are like a Jack in the Box. Like, they pretend like they're the girl's friend, right? We're just friends. And then all of a sudden he's like, bing, and then he like tries to fuck her. And the girl's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you suddenly, like, I thought we were friends, And then the guy's like, in his mind, he's all angry at her, blames on her, but actually he didn't give her this, he didn't communicate that he was changing his feelings, and he didn't know how to. So all he knew was Jack in the Box. Don't be a fucking Jack in the Box. Be more in control of your emotions and be able to communicate, and also able to take a no. Because if they say no, then it's no, right? It's like, it's easy to take a no if you're not Jack in the Box. If you're Jack in the Box, it's hard to take a no. Because now you've waited, and now you pop out, and it's like your ego's on the line and everything's a big deal, right? You know what I mean? It's like, and then now she's like, it's going to break the friendship up for sure, right? Like, when a guy Jack in the Box is on a girl, she's not going to fuck you, right? It's not going to work, right? If she does, it's a very bad way to start a relationship. Like, she might, but that means she's kind of a low quality situation, right? In general, right? Yeah. Because it's not the way that it should be with relationships, Well, you should be able to tell her. Like, I would just sit down and I would say, like sometimes I'll just say, I've said to girls, like, I've had, and this is what I said at the Japan summit, and I don't want you to repeat this because this is not okay. Somebody got the wrong idea when I said this. They thought this was like a technique that I use. Actually, maybe I shouldn't even say it because people misunderstand. Okay, I'll say it, but don't misunderstand this. This is just me. Like, sometimes girls, let's say a girl's being passive aggressive, and I'm trying to fuck her, right? And then she says, "What do you want? What are you trying to do?" Or something. And I remember, like, they know what you want, and I remember I was kind of tongue tied, and I looked at her and I go, I want to put my penis in your pussy, my dick in your pussy. And I want to kiss you, and I want you to get all wet, and I want us to do all these things. And I described it, and she looked at me, and she goes, and it wasn't passive. She like totally looks at me. She was kind of like, guys all want to do that. And I was like, yeah, I want to do it with you right now. And we did it, and it turned into it, right? So I turned it because I just thought, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's like you get to the point where you can't say things, right? And I just told her. And then, and it was actually the right thing to say, actually, with her. It broke down the barriers because she was playing a fake role that she doesn't understand. I was playing this fake role that I didn't want that. And she was playing this fake role that she didn't want that. And actually, we both wanted that. So sometimes it's just like being honest, just like the best thing to say it. But I said that to a guy, and he actually used it, and it actually worked with him. But I wouldn't say that's a general thing to say. It's just that it happened in a certain scenario where it's like we both had our false selves out there. And I thought, I don't care if she says no at all. I'm just going to say, like, she's asking me, okay, what do I want? I want a fucking juicy I want to smell your pussy. I want to see what you're like. I want to melt with you. I want to sweat with you. I want to do these things, And then she could say, no, I don't want to do that, right? That's fine, But it's like this false self, this pent up emotion, this escalating anger between people that never gets. You want to get away from all that and see it in yourself and stop it. It's always better just to walk away if you don't know what to do in a nice way and just get yourself some space. So it took me a week. It took me a week to think of the proper you could call it penalty or, whatever rule or whatever it was for that particular girl. Again, this is not you sitting there in New York or whatever. This is a particular girl at a particular time. So you're taking that. I want you to take the ideas. It's like you're learning how to drive. I'm not saying turn right at this kind of light because you might be in a country where that's illegal, right? It's like a general rule, right? It's a general, and you take it, sift it through what you're capable of and your own experiences and the girls you're with and the situation you're in. And you will find, because this is wisdom here, so you're going to find it in yourself. I'm not misleading you by not giving you the details. I'm giving you better. It's like this is like a general understanding. Once you understand the rules, everything will make sense. You know what I mean? Like it will all make sense, and it will be this actually works with your friends too, and it works at work too. It works every way. Like it just works. It just works. So it's a good. Don't let yourself get it and think of something and then. I don't know. That basically everything I just said. So that's all. So that's how I formulated my rules. That's how I think about my rules. And I'm sure there's a lot of specifics, but I think the number one small penalty is time away and not explaining. It's not getting into it. It's just like, I'm busy. I got to go. I got to go to work. I got to do this. And it's like, it's not true, but it is the nicest thing to do, actually. Not to, because the thing, if you start fighting with her, this is what I'll just end on, is you're not fighting about that thing, actually. You're fighting about something else. And it's not going to get settled by that thing either. And this goes back to Bowen Family Systems philosophy, which I'll go into in another episode, but which I was going to do in this one. But it's basically, it's not a single person. It's how different people relate together. It's the agreements that we have. You're going to say this. I'm going to act this way. You're going to. I'm this kind of person. We're making all these like very sophisticated agreements with all our friends and all our lovers and family that we don't even think about. It's transaction between people. It's not just myself alone. And that's the problem. People think it's just them. It's just her. It's actually you two together. There's these ties and agreements that you have, So it's about understanding that, accepting that, and then coming up with ways that you can acknowledge your part in things and and keep your emotion out of it, but also show you do this for yourself, guys. This is not for the girl, actually. It's not to fuck her either. It's also for yourself. It's mainly for yourself. You get control of your life, and you won't be off on these tangents of emotions, anger over things either. And if you just get that out of it, where you stop doing that with people, and let's say all the relationships fall apart, maybe they were wrong in the first place. Once you take the emotion out, maybe that was the whole game together. You guys both just pissed each other off. That was what you guys had going on. It was this endless cycle of, so don't worry about it. Like, just take the emotion out of it, step back, right? Make a rule and in yourself and keep that rule. And then if people if they don't come back to you, then there was nothing there, So it's for you, really. And as you become more like this, people will sense it. Like your friends will sense it. You guys sense it with me too. Like I'm not trying to passively aggressively get people to do stuff. Or like that. Like I see that, and I see it in myself too. The tendency I try to like let that go, right? Like separate from that, and get down to where like I'm just like it's almost like moment by moment deciding what to do. Just like moment like I'm driving to the restaurant, all of a sudden new information comes up, beep 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 beep. It's like wait a second, something's going on. I'm reacting. That means I'm unhappy about something, and that means that I have to do something. What's the decision? How can I get this back to emotion of 0? Right? That's what I'm always thinking. And also be fair and consistent. You want to be fair, consistent, and take the emotion out of it. And come up with a fair thing that makes sense. And then as you start to think about this, like I swear to God, this works with everything. It works with dogs too. Because dogs look at you if you're fair. If you make them do a bunch of tricks and you don't give them food, or you beat them for no reason, or if they crap on the floor and you don't say anything for a long time, or you don't do anything, it's all confusing, right? It's like you have to be very consistent, and you have to have an idea of what you're doing and why you're doing it and what's fair, and with yourself, and then, like, you see yourself too. If you're like screaming at the dog and you're like, it's like, what the hell is going wrong with you? Like, you're a man, and here you are like all upset about a dog or something that people are doing. It's like, I think that is the key thing with the rules, is you're watching yourself. So if I go any longer, it's just going to go on. So anyway, there's my thoughts.